Alright, welcome to Introductory Epistemology. This is one of my intensive courses. This is the first actual segment. I've done a intro to this course, which I'll be putting every course into a playlist, so that you can go to the beginning and watch the intro to find out what this is about. This course is going to be mainly talking about epistemology within the history of philosophy, and then once I do that, we'll kind of do some easier articles, starting with the logical positivists and Bertrand Russell. So we'll do a few easier articles there, and then I'll have after once I finish this one, I'll have an advanced epistemology course, which is going to be getting more in depth to actual, more specific, more difficult articles. So this is kind of a course to kind of get your feet wet and kind of help you to understand what this whole branch of philosophy called epistemology is about. Is to help you kind of get a hold on it before you try to read some harder things. Just kind of help you get your feet wet. It's going to be helpful to you if you are taking an actual university course, or if whatever. It's going to be either supplemental or complementary, or whatever you kind of want to use this as. But this segment is going to be about Plato and his forms, and what kind of epistemology goes along with that. Now I'm going to have outlines which kind of pair with each segment. And I'll post the outline in a blog post on my WordPress blog, and that blog link will be in the description below. It's intensivecourse.wordpress.com. Intensive, KURS, it's a German word for course, .wordpress.com, and that will be where you can find that. We'll have other things on that blog, stuff about like art and poetry, stuff like that. We'll have other stuff there, but the main reason for that blog is for my outlines for all these courses. I'm going to be doing. I have this course, my Intro to Philosophy course. Probably have a philosophy of religion course, and also a philosophy of science course. So this video is going to be about Plato's forms. Now, Plato, as you might know, was a pupil of Socrates. He pretty much has let me show you these dialogues. Sorry about this. This book is a huge book full of his dialogues, and pretty much the dialogue that I'm going to do a separate video about is the Meno. In this one, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Republic in book 6 or 7, wherever the Allegory of the Cave is, because the Allegory of the Cave is very important. I should have had this in my hand, and that way I didn't have to go over there and get it. But it's going to be about the form. It's very important because of the epistemology that is paired with it. And according to Plato, the forms are an abstract thing, which are basically separated from the concrete world. There's this in metaphysics. There's a distinction between abstract and concrete things. An abstract thing is like, given this pen, there's the form of black, or the property of black, however you want to call it, that is separate from this pen, and the property or form of the black spreads over all things that are black, and that form attributes its property to every single thing that is black. So same with this coffee mug and everything else on this world that is black. So an abstract thing is something that you cannot just, an abstract thing blankets over a lot of different concrete things, and a concrete thing is something like this pen. A pen is a concrete thing. The idea of black is not a concrete thing. You cannot just hold one thing. Hey, this is what is black. You can't really say that. So Plato's forms are like that. a form. He has higher forms like the form of the beautiful, and the form of the just, the form of the good. The form of the good is the very highest. Now, in my intro to philosophy course, I have a segment where I go a lot more into the allegory of the cave and talk about the forms a little bit more in depth. However, in this video, I want to discuss the forms and talk about the epistemology that kind of go along with them. Now, Plato, in the Meno and also in the Republic and in other things, he talks about how one can intuit the forms and how can one have some sort of knowledge of the forms in their mind. According to Plato, I guess the wrong word to use would be a priori, but that kind of is how it is. According to what is this a posteriori distinction? A priori are things before experience. You can know about if something that you know is a priori known, is known before you even experience anything. So it's like when you were a baby in your mother's womb, before you even cognized anything, you still knew, or just before you had any experience, you still knew it. You still knew something. And according to Anselm, his ontological proof of God's existence, he says that you know of God before you even experience anything on this earth. Where a posteriori means that you can know something with experience. And with the Meno, which I want to talk about a little bit more in depth in the next segment of this course, is where he does a little thing with the slave boy, helps him to understand that he knows a certain geometric fact without having even cognized anything. Socrates kind of proves that. And for Plato, Socrates is the little mouthpiece of Plato's philosophy. And according to Plato, you have knowledge of the forms. You know about the forms by pretty much existing. The forms have their place in you, and you can experience things, and you can pretty much experience things and understand that you know the forms, but you have knowledge of the forms without having to experience everything that is good or experience everything that is beautiful to know the form of the beautiful. And you also, mathematics is pretty much a part of that. You have knowledge of basic mathematical things without having to experience anything, and Socrates kind of proves that in the Meno. But pretty much, the epistemology behind this is via the allegory of the cave. You have these slaves at the very bottom of that cave, chained to the bottom and chained to where they can face the wall. And there are shadows that are casting upon that. Shadows that are casting themselves, shadows that are cast upon the wall, and all they see is light and shadows. And that along the divided line, which kind of is the forms, or is the allegory of the cave, that has to do with imagination, to where you only have mere imagining. You only have shadows. You only have reflections. That's all you have. You don't really have any belief. You don't have really anything. And then once the slaves are freed, they go up and they see the men. They see the fire casting those shadows. So they have some ability to have belief. Then they have some sort of reason starting to form. Once they go out of the cave and they see that light, their face is pretty much blinded by that. So they go back in. And that is the stage of dianoia, which is, dianoia pretty much is having reason. It's the first kind of part of having a real reason, of having some sort of real truth or knowledge going on, even though it's not real knowledge. However, when they go back out and they're kind of exposed to it, that's when they have real knowledge. They have real dialectic. And dialectic is the word that is used for that. They're able to have true intuition of the forms, so that pretty much you go from having from being like the slave chained in the cave to having a very, very little experience of the forms at all, but you still have something of the forms in you. And as you kind of go upward in the divided line, you begin to experience the forms more, and you understand that you understand pretty much. It's not that you experience more and more of the forms unless you begin to know more and more of them. You know them the whole time. However, they are pretty much revealed to you. It's kind of what is a term from modern philosophy, the idea of innate ideas, that you knew them all along, but with Plato's forms in the Allegory of the Cave, they are basically brought out in you, and you kind of have true knowledge of them once you're in the stage of dialectic. You go from dynoia to dialectic, you have, I guess they're basically revealed in you, and you really do have true knowledge of things. More knowledge of, you have true knowledge. You are closest to the form of a good as possible in that stage of dialectic. You have them in your mind the whole time. But that's mostly it. Now that's probably not a very good explanation the way I've done it. There have been a lot of thinkers on YouTube, and when I was just in college, a long time ago, when I took a intro class, I had a teacher who really did explain this very well, and I don't think I'm explaining it very well. So if you think I haven't explained this, if you don't think I've really unleashed Plato's, I guess really explained Plato's epistemology of the forms very well for you, then you can comment below, and I can do a second thing to this after I've talked about the Meno. And in the Meno, I think it'll come out a little bit clearer for you. But I will have notes below.